I'm Hollywood's best story analyst 10 years in a row and a produced and sold screenwriter. I've been watching Dark. I'm not finished yet, so I don't have any reviews. But I love an ontological paradox as much as I hate it. And I say that because it makes my brain itchy. Like my brain starts to be like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, right? So, how do we, as writers, how do you craft a successful ontological paradox? Well, you have to have something that makes no sense. So, like in Terminator, he sends his dad back to meet his mom. So, which already is like, how could that be? How could he have already existed if he hadn't done the thing to send his mother back, send his father back in time? So the way to craft it is almost like you need to do it like it's like a Sherlock Holmes mystery or like a any kind of like procedural mystery, where you have the conclusion where you want to end up, right? So if we're using Terminator, for example, then it's John Connor sends his dad back to meet his mom, Sarah Connor, right? So you have to know where you're headed and what the final conclusion is at the outset. And then you work backwards to create little bits of details that help that thing happen, right? So you have to start with something that makes no sense. How can you send your own father back to meet your mother if you already exist, right? Or how can I save in Dark? How can I save the world when my father, I knew my father in childhood, but then he went back in time and became my father. So you have to start where you want to end up, and then you have to work backwards. So you have to decide, okay, so I need my father to meet my mother. And how does that work? There was a book that Chuck Palahniuk wrote called Rage, the Casey, the Owen Casey story, I think. In that book, it was very similar. So there was a time travel component where they were using cars to create these car crashes, which ultimately this character was able to use to go back in time. And then it was like really explored a lot of incest themes in that book. So I don't know that everybody wants to read that, but the interesting part was that he kept going back in time to create himself, like a better version of himself. So you have to decide where you want to end up. And then you work backwards from that point to create the plot points how you can make these kinds of paradoxes happen. It's a really interesting and very fascinating way to write. And it's a really good story point. And the way that you do it is backwards. You start from the end and you work your way back. Ontological paradoxes. Oh, my brain.